I think that's part and parcel of what they're going to start doing here, and I think they're going to try to roll it out in different parts of the world. And this is exactly what I've been trying to warn people about for the last 3 weeks, is that the whole cycle is first create the problem, then magically have a solution, and those people that don't want to do the solution, which more people are starting to realize that this is just all BS, then force people, and then try to restrict people's movements, just like they did during World War II. You have to have papers, you have to have proof that you've been vaccinated, and if you don't, then they're going to either one, force it on you, or two, they're going to put people into, for lack of a better term, concentration camps, and they're going to say that these are containment camps or quarantine camps to prevent the spread of coronavirus or whatever the new virus is of the day. And really what's going to be do to keep people like me, my mouth shut, and force me to get a vaccine. And it's going to be like this for anybody who's outspoken. So it first starts with this process. We as a people, and when I say we as a people, I don't mean United States, I don't mean the United Kingdom, I mean as an inhabitant of this planet, have to become aware of what the truth is. And the truth is right in front of you. You have to be willing to spend the time that's necessary to find it. And those videos, that's all I've done. I've spent maybe about 89, 90 hours going through all the material and cleaning it up, editing it. Many of these things now, believe it or not, many of these things have been taken off the internet. They're being taken off the internet because they don't want people to be able to see it. They didn't think anybody would go and look at this stuff, but it's all over the internet. You can go to the European nation, for the European Union, and look at the, what is it, the European Union Patent Office, I think it is. That's what I show in the video. I pulled up and there's other videos online actually that you can see this, where they actually pull up the videos showing the European Union Patent Office. You type in the number of the patents and you can see them, coronavirus, who owns them. The patents are owned by this company, and that company is owned by Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation. So this information is public information. Now, how fast they're taking some of this stuff down, I can't comment on that. But I know that there were studies that I referenced and didn't show in the videos. And when I released the first video, people attacked me and said, well, there wasn't, there's no proof to this, and I've done the search and I can't find it. So I went back and looking for the video, those particular studies. There was actually one specific study, and I couldn't find it. And fortunately for me, one of my patients from Hong Kong, who's a very wealthy person and a well-connected person, found out I was looking for it, and he sent it to me. And I said, how did you get this? And he said, don't ask any questions. I got it for you. And stamped right across the study says, withdrawn. But they took it off the internet, and yet the study's right there. It's a perfectly done study. So from that point onwards, I downloaded everything I saw at that time. I didn't wait. When part 5 came out, was getting ready to come out the day before, actually, the day before it was coming out, my video guy was just going through, and on a sound check on one of the videos we'd included, it was bad quality video. So he went back to the original site, which we got permission on all these places to get the videos. The site was taken down, and the video was no longer available. Well, we ended up using the video footage that we had that we'd already downloaded, but the sound wasn't that great. The next day when we got ready to release it, the others, out of the total 9 videos and websites that I had referenced, 7 out of the 9 had been taken down. And so we took an abbreviated version of video 5, Deceptive Agenda, and put that on YouTube. And we didn't put the whole thing out, and it took, I think that hit about 500, 600,000 views, and then YouTube took that down and Facebook took that down. So we still have that on Advanced Medicine. We have all the videos on Advanced Medicine. So if you watch those videos, all the proof I'm talking about is right there.
This wasn't any pornography, any copyright, any violence. So why would you be censored? Is this something that can bring your words? Were they something that someone might perceive as misleading, unfactual, false? What is the reason that you would be censored like that, and other people like yourself?
I think it's because they're trying to prevent that information from coming out. It's kind of like the same reason you didn't use those 3 letters of that agency, right? Because we know that there's certain key things, if they're said, they're going to be taken down. Now, I haven't seen those 3 letters being censored that big right now, but I'm sure that they would be. The one thing is this new technology that's being rolling out for telecommunications and such that starts with a number and ends with a letter. That's just amazing to me that you say anything about that, your videos will come down. And so when you start having this type of censorship, then the question is, something becomes a little suspicious. Like, why would they be taking this down? In fact, if anything, it further proves that that is information that needs to get out because it's being censored. It's being prevented from being disseminated. And to answer your question, why would they be doing this, is because they don't want us to know the truth. It's very simple. They don't want truth to be known, and truth resonates, right? You know this. Truth resonates. When you feel the truth, when you hear the truth, other people, the frequency that a person resonates with is on a totally different scale. That's animals can sense this. Fear resonates at a certain frequency. Love resonates at a certain frequency, and truth resonates. Just like sadness or guilt or anger, that they have a certain resonance. And I believe the reason that these videos have tracked, hundreds of, well, it's actually millions and millions of views. I was saying hundreds and thousands, but it's actually in the millions. I mean, our own videos that we put out hit millions when they pulled them off, but other people that put videos out have hit millions. And those millions of people that are seeing this, there's only one reason that it's going viral. It's because people feel the truth. How many people spend millions and millions of companies, I should say, spend millions and millions of dollars in marketing trying to get their message heard? Buy this product, buy that food, whatever the case is. But I'm not selling anything here. I'm not trying to convince of anybody. I'm not running for office. I don't have a political agenda. I don't have stock in something that I'm trying to tell you to buy or not buy or whatever. I'm just making statements, and these statements are backed up by fact. These are facts. I don't speak in anything but facts. In my profession, if I make a mistake, people die. In the medical profession, people die all the time. In fact, in the medical profession, the third leading cause of death in the industrialized world is iatrogenic causes, doctor-induced causes, from drugs, from surgeries, from bad policy, whatever the case is. So I'm extremely conscientious when it comes to that trend for the trend for the doctors for medicine to be the third leading cause of death. And those that defend those statistics say the doctors aren't the third leading cause of death; they're only the fifth leading cause of death, as if that's any improvement or anything better. I mean, that's a pretty sad defense when you're saying, no, we're not the third leading cause of death, we're only the fifth leading cause of death. But in my world, that's one reason that I don't practice medicine conventionally, because I've seen how much inadequacy and how many mistakes are being made there. And I've been blessed that I've heard those words of Dr. Buttar, you saved my life, over and over and over again, thousands of times. And I can tell you that the first and foremost thing is that God's the only healer. All glory belongs to him. And that my father taught me a prayer in Arabic, Azhabil Bas Rabbin Nas, which basically means that God, please heal this person and allow me to be the conduit. And I've said that since I was probably 15 or 16. And so when we start to recognize where the problems lie, then we can start to do something about it. The problem is we don't know where the problems lie because it's been kept from us. And the misinformation campaign that the media's put out, not letting people know really what the truth is. I mean, look at cancer. Cancer, you need chemo, you need radiation. That's just absolute unadulterated garbage. Unadulterated garbage. We've had patients from 93 countries, and I can tell you that these patients, we just had, I was actually brought up on ethical charges of taking advantage of cancer patients back in 2005, and we had 43 stage 4 cancer patients that were ready to testify on my behalf, but the medical board wouldn't allow that. So we had to go to, I'm sorry, we had 43 stage 4 cancer patients. The stage 4 is the terminal. There's no more left. That's it. That means that death is certain at that point. And so we had 43 that were ready to testify. It might have been 47. I can't remember, 43 or 47. I think it was 43 that were ready to testify. Medical board said no. We had to go to court, to Superior Court, to force the medical board to allow those testimonies. But before we actually had the hearing, like the day of the hearing, they negotiated with my attorneys and decided, okay, we'll let you have 5. So we were allowed to have 5 out of 43 that were ready to testify. So I picked a doctor that had stage 4 cancer. I picked an oncological nurse, a nurse that had cancer, that was in the field of chemotherapy and radiation. So she was a cancer nurse for 45 years. I picked her. And I picked 3 other people that weren't doctors or nurses. All these 5 people had come through our treatment program at our clinic. 4 out of 5 of those people that we selected had failed chemo and had failed radiation multiple times. One of those people refused. They said, I don't want the chemo and radiation. So 4 out of 5 had chemo and radiation. All 5 had been referred to hospice. Now, hospice is something that you get referred to when there's nothing more than medicine can do. All 5 were told that they had stage 4 metastatic distant disease. All 5 were told that they needed to get their affairs in order. And all 5 had been given a prognosis between 3 to 6 months, meaning that they had been given 3 to 6 months to live, and their game was over. There was nothing more that could be done. And when they testified in front of the North Carolina Medical Board, 3 of those people were 3.5 years out from our treatment. So remember, they were all told that they were going to die within 3 to 6 months. Now they go through our treatment. 3 of them are 3.5 years out from our treatment. 1 was 5 years out from our treatment, and 1 was 8 years out from our treatment. So this is 14 hours of testimony. They limited the number of witnesses first. Then those that were limited, they were all people that had gone through our treatment. All 5 alive, well, healthy, PET scans, everything negative, no problems, productive members of society, all on video. You can go and watch these people on video if you want. You can go to our YouTube channel and see these people. You can go to Medical Rewind and see them. And we've got many other patients that weren't even part of that you can see. We've got hundreds of patients like this, right? And now you see these patients testify 14 hours and in cross-examination with the other attorneys. And after it's all said and done, the medical, and you know, see the facts. You know what the medical board's one-word answer was? One-word response to 14 hours of testimony by 5 people. You know, remember, I was brought up in ethical charges of taking advantage of patients doing treatments that didn't work. And
were you implementing? There's a verse in the verbatim word of God Almighty Allah says, saving one innocent life is as saving the whole of humanity. So a Muslim's mission in life is to help humanity, to save life. So you're actually trying to save life when they were told that life is about to end. Ultimately, it's God's in God Almighty Allah's hands, but you are doing what this way of life, Islam teaches you to do, to save life.
That's exactly right. And Islam also, on a side note, I just want to say there's something in Hadith that says that Allah did not put anything on this earth that can cause harm without the solution on how to undo that harm.
Yes, it's a statement from the last and final messenger sent to mankind. Prophet Muhammad said that Allah didn't send a disease except that he sent a cure.
Right, unless he sent the cure. That's exactly
right.
But
doesn't allopathic medicine say there is no cure, just symptom management?
That's exactly right, because at that point, when they said stage 4, that's not symptom management, you got to help them to slowly die. They refer them to hospice and it's done. And so the one-word response, that I wanted to kind of go through this with you, the one-word response that they said after bringing me up on these charges was irrelevant. It was irrelevant that these people were alive and doing well after a treatment, even though they had accused me of doing things that were taking advantage of people that weren't providing them any service, right? So this is the type of corruptness, and this is back in 2005. It was 5 years, from 2005 to 2010. It cost me $14 million just to defend my name. I lost my office. It was the largest privately owned integrative medical center in North America. It's now the Huntersville Police Department in North Carolina, in a suburb of Charlotte.
$14 million?
$14 million of lost revenue, $14 million, including the legal fees, the going to court, trying to just survive. I mean, my building that I lost was over $7.5 million. That we had built and we had put together. The level of corruptness is so far-reaching and has been going on for so many years. So when President Trump talks about fake media, guys, it's seriously fake, okay? And this whole thing between Democrat and Republican, or Muslim against Jew, or Christian against Muslim, or black against white, it's all part of this goal to divide people. I was in Hebron, in Palestine. I went to Jerusalem, and it was interesting that I'm at Abraham's tomb. I'm at the mosque where Abraham is buried, and the tomb of Abraham. And I'm looking in there, and they have a place where Sarah is. They have a tomb there for Sarah, and they have one for Hagar. And I'm in this mosque, and I'm looking through a window to the tomb. And they're bars, like jail bars, to prevent people from breaking through. And excuse me for a second, let me just. Okay. And I'm looking through these, and I noticed there's a window on the other side, and there are bars there. And there are people peering in, but they're wearing the yarmulkes, so they were Jewish. Now you've got Jews on one side, and you got Muslims on the other side at the same holy shrine, looking in, but this building is divided in half. Half of it's a mosque and half of it's a synagogue. Now, what have they done? When I say the hierarchy, they have pitted Muslim against Jew. Okay, remember when you go against a group of people, you want to divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. It's not conquer and then divide. It's divide and conquer. And so this orchestration and manipulation on purpose, intentional, is to always divide people first and pit them against each other, because when you do that, then it's easier for you to take them over, which is happening right now globally, which is what this mandate of the vaccine is. And go ahead. So this pitting against each other is part and parcel of trying to take over control. And my message is very simple. Watch the videos and then look at the science and look at the facts and then come to a conclusion yourself. And I can tell you that there has been less than 1% of the people that watch those videos that have said, no, I don't believe this. Some of the people, out of every 100, one person says, I don't believe this. And the reason said that I don't believe it, you want to get this. Are you ready for the reason they give me when they say they can't believe it?
What is that?
It's just not possible that anybody could pull off such a big scam. That's their reason for not believing it. That it's not possible that there could be deception to this level. That's called cognitive dissonance, right? Cognitive dissonance is when you are presented with the truth, but you cannot accept it, because by doing so would jeopardize your entire belief system. You would have to start questioning all the other beliefs that you've had, because that one belief system that's being asked to be looked at and that's being scrutinized, that you're now starting to question, many of your other belief systems have been built upon that. And so to accept this new truth, you would have to disavow all the other beliefs. And you can't do that, because now at that point, it's beyond what a person can survive with. It's kind of like when a pediatrician realizes that all the vaccines that they've been giving, once they understand what's in the vaccines, once they understand what the research has actually shown, once they understand that all the issues that they've been told about from the CDC, from the Institute of Medicine, when they start seeing the lawsuits that have been filed and won against the CDC, that now the CDC cannot, they have to take that statement off their website that vaccines are safe for and do not cause autism. They have to now take that statement off, or they've taken it off because they lost in a court of law, in a federal court. They can't say that anymore. So when people see that and they're like, no, I can't believe it, because now the pediatrician has been going around giving vaccines to children all throughout his career for 20, 30 years, because he loves children, he wants to help mankind. And now he suddenly realizes that had he not ever been born, he would have done more for mankind. And that's a difficult place for a person to be, that realizing that they have been part and parcel of a lie. Many people don't want to hear it. So they just say, no, that's just an anti-vax kook. He doesn't know what he's talking about, because the science is settled. You know how settled the science is? Let me give you, your first name is Deen? Eddie. Okay. So, Eddie, let me just ask you this question. What's your Muslim name?
Mehmet.
Okay, Mehmet. So I'll just go with Eddie, unless you want me to call you Mehmet. So I'm sorry about that. I just wanted to make
Mehmet is short for Muhammad. It's Meho Mehmet Muhammad. Yes. So this is
okay. Yeah. So I'll just ask you a question. I'll just say Mehmet. Let me ask you this question. If I asked you that every time you got into a plane, I mean, first of all, I assume that you've been in a plane, right? You've flown in a plane from one destination. So if
last year, yeah.
Last year, okay. So if I asked you, would you fly in a plane if you were told that 1 out of every 32 people, or 1 out of every 30 people, or 1 out of every 29 people, it depends on which research you're looking at. I'm going to bring this back. Let's just use the 1 out of 32. If I told you that 1 out of 32 people that get on that plane will either 1, die, or 2, suffer from some type of a neurological implication for the rest of your life, would you fly?
No, I wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't. Now, that's where the problem is, right? So some people may be saying, what the hell are you talking about? So let's talk about how God designed us.
You're saying that after 1 out of 32 planes are going down, basically.
Well, not necessarily planes are going down. That you get on a plane, and by the time the plane lands,
by the time the plane lands, what happens?
That either you're dead. For every 32 people that get on a plane, 1 person dies or has a permanent disability neurologically.
Yeah.
Would you fly?
No.
Something happens in the plane, right?
I'd rather be on a paddle boat.
Right. You'd rather be in a paddle boat. Exactly. And that's exactly how most people would, because nobody would fly then, right? Or even if I said 1 out of 32 planes that you fly on is going to crash and burn, would you fly? And the answer is no, nobody would, right? Because the same thing, 1 out of 32. Now, let's back up for a second. God gave us legs. Why did he give us legs? So we can walk, so we can, go from one place to another place. It's a natural mode of transportation that we were all designed to have. But man came up with other modes of transportation, discovered the wheel, started taking bicycles, cars, planes, and now when we need to go from here to Europe, it doesn't take a month on a boat. It takes a few hours on a plane, 6 hours, and from New York you can be in London. Okay, that's how man came up with a solution to make a travel more efficient. Well, similarly, our bodies have an immune system. We recognize something as being foreign when it's introduced into our bodies. It's called a hapten or an antigen. When the body sees that antigen, it creates an antigen receptor site. An antigen receptor site is the exact template, if you will, of the antigen of the foreign substance. It's on the surface of a B lymphocyte, and the B lymphocyte is responsible now for taking that antigen receptor site, and it uses that template or that mold, if you will, and kicks out things that we call antibodies. So an antibody is essentially the total opposite of what that antigen is or the foreign substance is. That antibody attacks that antigen and stops it from having whatever that reaction is. That's how God designed our immune system. Okay, so we have two parts to our immune system: the cellular immune response system and our humoral immune response system. So the antibody aspect is the natural way the body sees something foreign and attacks it so that it keeps us safe. That's a natural way of how it works. Okay, so antigens introduced, antigen receptor site is developed on the surface of a B lymphocyte, creates an antibody goes and negates the antigen, and now you have, that's why we want to increase antibodies in our body for specific antigens. Antibodies are specific to certain antigens. Antibodies are specific to certain things. That's one reason when somebody has an anaphylactic reaction against, say, strawberries, for example. That strawberry is acting as a foreign substance. It's acting as an antigen or a hapten, and then the antibody, whatever that antibody is that's been created, attacks that component of the strawberry because that's being seen as foreign and creates this allergic reaction, and somebody can actually die from it. So somebody who has a hyper-responsive immune system, that's what the strawberry anaphylaxis says. It's a hyper-responsive. So we don't want to make a hyper-responsive system. We don't want to have a hypo-responsive system. Hypo-responsive would be no response. We want to have a normal response to the immune system. So when the immune system goes a little whacked out, when something happens to it, that's when people start having these allergic reactions. But an allergic reaction is nothing more than a hyper-responsiveness to a normal immune response. So an allergy is an immune response, a normal immune response, but it's way, way, way more exaggerated. Okay, it's like saying the normal response to the immune system would be, you've got something here, a bug here, and you hit it. Well, this would be when somebody has an anaphylactic reaction. It's like there's an ant here, and you send in fighter jets, and you blow up the whole house and make craters, for 1 block around because you're trying to take that ant out. That's what an allergic response is. It's part of the normal response, but it's way, way, way exaggerated. Okay, now the reason I'm telling you this is because now we've got, remember the analogy between us walking versus us flying, because we want to have a more convenient way of getting there. We don't want to spend a month traveling somewhere. And so in this particular case, now we come back to the same situation. We have an immune response. It's a natural immune response. We want to make ourselves safer. And so they come up with this thing called a vaccine.